I'd say it definitely flowed a lot. At no point did it feel like a pressure, like an external pressure that I was having to like live up to anything. And I'd say more than anything, it was a little bit of a challenge to myself, like opening up and actually diving into those the narratives that I have, or like the alfileres, the little like needles that you find in yourself. And I'd say it was definitely I don't want to say easy, because like the whole process of like evolving spiritually and mentally and psychologically isn't easy. But I'd say it was definitely like it didn't feel hard. It didn't feel like a chore. It definitely felt like todo a su momento, cuando tiene que ser.
What was the biggest value, or what is the value that you've gotten out of working with me as your coach?
I think definitely the biggest value I've gotten so far would be certainty and trusting myself, knowing that I don't have to doubt when I come to a like conclusion, not necessarily a conclusion, but an idea and conceptualization of what is like going on with my state and my mind and my beliefs. Because before I definitely doubted it a lot, and I think that's what would motivate these like overthinking, where it's like I don't know if I'm right, or maybe this is the answer, or maybe it's not. But definitely having like an external source to talk to, and having that almost like mirror effect, it's been very useful for me to see that like, wait, ya tienes la respuesta. Nomás tienes que como componerlo bien, organizarte y luego actuar en función a eso.
Hmm.
Like be very true to yourself, in the sense that you don't have to doubt yourself, but you do have to put in the work to implement what you believe about your situation and about yourself.
Thank you for all of these. After having worked with me, would you recommend Nino to other people?
100%. Sí, o sea, some of the most like enlightening moments have been in some of our calls, or even like the digestion that goes on after the calls, where it's just es muy alegre, muy gozoso poder hablar contigo, poder como espejearme contigo. And I think you provide a lot of value, in the sense that it's not like a sermon that you go off on and try to solve everything and like, yo te tengo la solución, nomás tienes que hacer estos pasos. No, es como very objective, but related ideas or concepts, or not necessarily advice, but just like a different way of thinking about the situation at hand.
Hmm.
So it's not super like, I'm going to fix your life, but it's rather, consider this, add it to your situation, maybe take a step back and like reevaluate it from a different standpoint, and then act, but always considering your beliefs and your values and the things that are intrinsically you,
Fuck yeah.
which is very cool.
Awesome. This is great. What was it?
Also, your energy is just super light, it's fun, and it's, uy,
Yay. And honestly,
padre.
for me, like, why I love that your responses is like my goal ultimately when I was coming into this, like I come from a coactive coaching, like is my education. I'm like, and with in regards to my spiritual beliefs and my values is I don't believe I have your answers. I believe no one has your answers but you. How could anyone else have the answers but not if not you? It's you and my and God, or aka you and your higher deep self. Doesn't matter what word we want to use here. It doesn't really matter. Like, and so for me, it's super rewarding hearing that you're like, I didn't feel like he was pressuring me. I didn't feel like he was like trying to be the source of I'm not the source. You're the source. Like I and really like so it makes me super happy to hear some of those answers. Additionally, The guy, what would be if you ever, yeah, if you got the chance in the future to work with Nino again as your coach, would you work with him? Would you work with me again?
Hell yeah. O sea, sin pensarlo. Yes,
Okay,
100%. Super cool y súper valioso.
awesome. Um, and as we're wrapping up the coaching and as this program, even though it's a very unstructured program, in part because I really do believe, firstly, how can you structure something for every single human? Like that's ridiculous. And again, yeah. Anyways, did you feel you were given enough strategies and support so that you can succeed alone now? Like, do you feel that I've equipped you to take on your own challenges with a broader perspective, with new skills, or do you feel, yeah,
I was actually thinking about this one earlier. Yeah, I definitely do feel like I now have a diverse range of like tools and skills that I can apply depending on the context. And that's been super useful because it's uh, like the Monday task has been, has never been the same. And each week it's something like useful for the situation, but also useful for the future, something to consider uh, either in my life or about a practice. And I was actually thinking about it earlier, like writing down all the different tasks we did throughout this entire lapse of time, so that in the future, if I feel like I need to tackle a certain problem, or if I'm like in a context or stuck in something, I have a variety of tools that I can use to kind of take a step back, reevaluate the conceptualization I have about it, and then come at it with a new perspective and a new understanding.
mm. um, awesome. And I mean, I'm gonna just, I guess this is my tagline, so I thought this was an interesting one. Do you feel like I have guided you towards your own inner wisdom?
100%. See, I feel like I've definitely grown a lot in these past, has it been like 2 months, 2.5 months?
Yeah, 2.5 months.
Loco. I feel like I feel way more peace and I feel less, uh, like inner anxiety that like that like motivates you to do a ton of stuff, but at the same time, it keeps you unsettled.
Mm,
I feel like you've definitely been helpful in helping me like reconnect with myself, which is something that at the beginning of this year I had as like a goal, because I felt like I could connect to a lot of the things I was doing, but I was missing that connection with myself.
mm,
And I still kind of feel it a little bit, but I don't feel as separated from myself in the sense that I trust myself a lot more. I don't tend to doubt the ideas and like determinations I have about a situation as much. I feel way less imposter syndrome towards myself,
mm,
like I don't feel unqualified to dive into myself. And I definitely think it's been super useful that um you've never like imposed a strategy on me like, no, do this to solve the problem. It's always been like, what if you take a step from this way and see what happens? It's been very useful to like almost consult with myself through uh como proposiciones tuyas, ¿no? Como, y si lo piensas así, y like the different value you have through like the resources you dived into yourself, the different books, the different authors, the different sources that you can provide from a very personal standpoint. I think that's been super helpful in helping me find myself in that way.